Here's an experiment I did where I can start and stop the flow totalizer based on a sound speed transition point. I could set this up as either sound velocity or liquid end. And just to remind you, liquid end is simply the sound velocity which has been corrected to a base temperature. The trip point that I have is 1092. So when this sound speed goes above 1092, this totalizer should stop. So I'm going to adjust the transducers a little bit. And when I do so, the totalizer stops. And what I did to make this work is I set channel 2 output operation mode to digital output, alarms and diagnostics, and then I went to process alarms, and I set sound velocity above the alarm limit. Then I went to set up process values, and I found sound velocity. Again, you could use liquid end instead. And I set the alarms to sound velocity above a certain limit. And then I set that limit at 1092. Then I set my channel 3 input and output to digital input with an input function of pause resume totalizer 1. And that's the only thing I set. Now to make this work for this test, here's my channel 2 with my signal out, and I wire the plus to the common, so this plus is going to this common, and this one's common is going to the minus. And this is what's actually starting and stopping my totalizer. If I wanted channel 4 to be set up so that totalizer number 2 does the opposite of totalizer number 1. So when one is totalizing, the other one is not, because it's either above or below a set point. In this case, it would be sound speed. And then when the opposite is true, so that like when this one stops totalizing, this one will start totalizing, and vice versa. And to do that, you have to add a relay and use common and minus, which is your passive input. It's just looking for a short circuit here to make this whole setup work. Unfortunately, we don't have enough signals to go around to do this without adding a relay to make the conditions for this one opposite as they are for this one. So here's a schematic which helps understand this a little bit better. Channel 2, which is your alarm level, which is how you're going to trigger either below or above the sound velocity. The coil will be either, this is the relay coil, the coil will either be de-energized or energized. So if you're not in an alarm condition, then of course it's de-energized, and then the normally closed relay is going to stop totalizer 1, let's say. And then when you transition into the alarm condition, this will energize, and this switch will now move to what was the normally open and close it. which will allow totalizer 1 to count because this is no longer this no longer has a short between common and minus. And now you'll have a short between common and minus for pins 15 and 16 for totalizer 2, which is on channel 4. So without energizing, this one stops. With energizing, this one stops and that one starts. And they toggle back and forth like this.